Oh hi, this is ARC the Clarinet Master, and before I get into the video proper, I'd just like to announce I now have this Bad Cat calendar for 2020. The reason I bring this up is because I'd like to introduce a new segment in my videos where I announce the cat of the month and the cat of the day. Now, full disclosure, I'm not sponsored by Bad Cat or the company behind publishing it or anything. I just think it's an awesome series of really naughty kitties getting up to no good, and I think you should definitely check out their books. But with that said, here's the cat of the month.
Wearing this inverted lampshade keeps me from eating everything in sight.
And here's the cat of the day.
My great-great-great-grandfather was the star of the 1958 calendar.
But since the video took a while to edit, here's the new cat of the day. No pizza stand until you get down to 240.
So with that done and said, let's get into the actual video. Now, just last month, I had an announcement where I said I'd be holding a 300 subscriber special. Of what exactly? Well, a Q&A session. Now, unfortunately, only 2 people have submitted questions to the video on YouTube, and while I did get a lot of questions on AskFM, none of them had the hashtag 300 subscriber special that I told them to use. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb and assume that they're all for the video, except for the shout-outs, because those are just asked to any random people in the vicinity. And I doubt they watched my video. But, oh shit, is the microphone on? Yeah, the microphone's on. So without further ado, let's get on with the questions. So here's our first question from Sketchbud. Are you a Nickelodeon kid or a Cartoon Network fan? You know, that's actually a very good question because I actually have a lot to say about this one. Yeah, see, growing up as a kid on the farm in Lower Hermitage, my sisters and I would normally just watch Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel, so there's the short answer. I was more of a Nickelodeon kid growing up. Yeah, that is to say, we would sometimes watch Cartoon Network. I remember watching the Powerpuff Girls and Cow and Chicken, without even realising the latter was a rip-off of a much more popular Nicktoon, Ren and Stimpy. It wasn't until I went on holiday in Thailand in 2008, at age 12, that I discovered some of their other more popular shows at that time, such as Dexter's Lab, My Gym Partner's a Monkey, Hi Hi Puffy Yumi, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Yeah, because that was like the only kids network we could watch while we were over there, the people's house that we were staying at. And yeah, I also discovered the original Teen Titans and Fantastic Four, but I was never really into superhero shows as a kid, unfortunately. But now that I'm older and Nickelodeon's kind of been in a rut with their cartoon shows, I mean, they pretty much only have SpongeBob and The Loud House at the moment, or at least those are the only good cartoon shows from what I've heard. Like I've never watched The Loud House, but I've heard it's a pretty good show, and SpongeBob had been getting better since the creator Steven Hillenburg returned, but now he's passed away, and who knows where the show's gonna... Now there's gonna be all these weird spin-offs of SpongeBob, which Hillenburg didn't freaking want! But Cartoon Network has been on a constant high since the start of the 2010s. It's had Adventure Time, Gumball, Steven Universe... I don't know, was Over the Garden Wall a Cartoon Network show? I don't know, but... Oh yeah, the Infinity Train. I've actually been watching a lot of these more recent Cartoon Network shows as of late. I watched Steven Universe. I thought it was a pretty decent slice of life show. I don't think it's the spectacular masterpiece everyone makes it out to be, but I don't see it as the quote-unquote SJW propaganda that everyone else does either. But yeah, I recently watched Infinity Train, and it was a pretty good show. Yeah, not the best mystery series I've seen, but it was definitely interesting to see all the different worlds. It was sort of like this generation's Alice in Wonderland, or like another Spirited Away type story. It's just... And I only recently got into Adventure Time, and I just watched episode 5 last night at the time of recording this, of Enchiridion, and yeah, it's pretty slow at the moment, but I've heard it gets better as the series goes on. So to put it simply, when I was younger, I was more of a Nickelodeon fan, but now I'm more into Cartoon Network. Like, we don't even have Foxtel anymore, but like, I just... it's just between you and me. I actually watch them illegally on those illegal streaming sites. So, is it me or is the lighting kind of crap right now? Ah, that's better. Okay, so with that question out of the way, let's move on to the next one. Corinne Benadi, or however you say her name, asks, do you like frogs? Again, this one might be a bit nuanced, more than a simple 4-word, 4-syllable question would imply. Because if we're talking about frogs in real life, which I'm guessing is what the question is referring to, then I'm kind of indifferent to them, really. Like now, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people who are gonna be like, oh, when the frogs go extinct, nothing will be lost that day. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just, I do think it's important to protect their ecosystems and, to ensure that they don't go extinct because of climate change, which is a real thing, by the way. Just putting that out there. But at the same time, I'm not really a huge frog fan. Like, oh my god, frogs are so cute and all that stuff. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who actually prefer cartoon frogs because, the real ones are all slimy and gross and stuff. Like, there's even a Little Britain sketch making fun of that. You should definitely watch Little Britain sometime. It's a pretty funny show. But I like Kermit the Frog from the Muppets. He's pretty cool, I guess. He's a pretty chill dude. And okay, maybe the answer wasn't quite as nuanced as I was expecting. Definitely a lot less so than the Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network question. Okay, so that does it for the YouTube questions. Now let's move on to the Ask FM questions. And there's quite a lot to sit through, so I might have to make multiple videos for this. And sadly, all the Ask FM questions are anonymous. So if you're the person who asked any of these questions, feel free to comment if you don't have a problem with having your identity being revealed. So here's our first Ask FM question. How will you know you are making the right decisions? Well, it depends. Like, there are some principles that I usually... that's a tough one. Like, I usually, it's just a matter of letting my conscience guide me and all that shit you learn from Disney movies growing up, but sometimes it's a bit more complicated than that. Sometimes I will have to break the rules a little bit in order to achieve my goals, as long as I'm not harming anyone, like physically or financially, or, as long as I'm not breaking the law. I strangely don't have a lot to say about that one. Okay, so here's our next question. How do you cope with being unloved? Not really sure how to answer that one because I grew up in a pretty chill family. Both my parents were pretty supportive of me growing up, and my older sister was as well, even though she wasn't the best at it, and my relatives have always been looking out for me, so I'm not sure if I'm the best person to answer this question. So moving on. Oh, they're flying, right. Next question. Which of these best describes your current situation? 1. I have found that special someone. 2. I'm still searching for them. 3. I've given up looking. And 4. I'm happy on my own. Technically, I guess 2. I'm still searching for them, but I'm kind of taking a break from relationships at the moment just because I'm studying at college right now. I want to focus on my own stuff at the moment, and I just don't really have time for relationships. And I also want to work on, building friendships so I can get to know people a little more, so I can know, if I want to go out with them. Whereas with my previous 2 relationships, I don't know, we just sort of jumped into it. And yeah, to be fair though, they sort of brought it on first, especially my first girlfriend. I really only saw her as just a friend, but yeah, that's about all I can speak about without giving away anything too personal. So yeah, number 2 is the answer you're looking for, although I guess also technically kind of 4 as well. I'm happy on my own, but yeah, next question. What's your favorite part of your daily routine? Well, yeah, the part where I edit videos like this, and and do other actual useful stuff like doing my musical arrangements and making music cover videos and going out for walks with my pet dog, Toby. And yeah, I also have my pure leisurely activities such as, you know, playing games on the computer and watching TV shows on my projector late at night. That's when I get to watch Adventure Time. But yeah, I just feel good actually being productive during the day and actually doing stuff with my time. Just not so much as of lately because, I don't know, I've just been kind of on a lazy streak at the moment. But I'm working on that. I'm trying to get back on my feet, and yeah, I might make another Terry Corner short because I didn't make any short films in 2019 for some reason. But hopefully that could change. Moving on. What do you appreciate about your brain? I just appreciate the fact that it works and I can think, and certainly don't appreciate the bad stuff. Like last night, I had this weird dream about this weird bug creature that was latching onto my hand and trying to digest it. Like, where the frick did that come from? Where the frick does my brain come up with that stuff? So anyway, back to the actual question after that weird tangent about nightmares and shit. So yeah, I wonder if the Mara had anything to do with it. No, it was probably Dream Productions putting on another. Yeah, okay, enough with the reference humor. If you can even call it humor. So brains and stuff. I just appreciate that my brain's been able to remain intact after all these years. After pointless hours wasted playing video games and watching mindless TV, and I don't know. I think I gave it pretty good exercise when I was younger. I was actually taught how to read at age 2, and I was actually actively encouraged to teach myself about the world, which is how I was able to learn about geography and anatomy and all the different types of animals and musical instruments as a kid. You know, pointless stuff that you learn in high school and you wonder how you're ever gonna need that stuff in the real world. You know, let's like, can't we have our hobbies and stuff? Some of us actually want to learn pointless info. And you don't just learn it at school either. Even Michael Rosen admitted that he read this stuff in a book once. Probably just once, because I'm guessing he's neurotypical. Yeah, that's another thing I appreciate about my brain. That I'm able to absorb all that info, but only when I feel like it. Sometimes I just zone out when people are talking and I don't follow instructions properly, but anyway, you probably don't care about that right now. I've rambled on long enough about that question, so let's move on to our next question. What makes you smile? You know, just simple stuff like going out for walks with my dog. I appreciate looking at the pretty houses, even if I usually just see the same ones over and over. They're pretty nicely built. Better than my granddad's house at least. And, you know, with all the recent bushfire activity going on, pretty devastating, it makes me smile when I see people actually doing their best to help with the efforts to, you know, to put the fires out and stuff. Like recently Doug Walker, for example, yeah, say what you want about the change the channel controversy. Like, I agree that what he did was horrible with, you know, not providing refreshments for his actors and defending a freaking sexual abuse predator or whatever, Jew Wario, may he rest in hell and all that stuff. But, like, in his recent review of Beverly Hills Chihuahua, he, like, you know how he does the charity shout-outs at the end of his videos? Like, part of me thinks that he just does those to suck up to his audience, to show, oh, look at me, I'm a decent person, love me, but you know, that, like, I like that he at least gives the shout-outs to the charities so that people can raise awareness for them. And yeah, he recently gave one to the Red Cross of Australia, you know, to help with all the bushfires and stuff. And yeah, hopefully after his review of the Jungle Book remake, he probably knows now just how deadly wildfires can be. But yeah, point is, it put a smile on my face. It genuinely did put a smile on my face when he raised awareness for something that really affects me personally, because while my home city of Adelaide has been pretty safe from the bushfires at the moment, two neighbouring areas, Cuddly Creek, where they have the Gorge Wildlife Park, and the neighbouring Kangaroo Island, where I just recently went on holiday, have both been devastated by these fires. And we also went to Cuddly Creek recently with two friends from England, just before it caught on fire. That is weird, how everywhere we go to visit always catches on fire for some reason. It's weird. Okay, so I gave a basic bitch answer and I gave a more nuanced one. Why won't this thing charge more consistently? Okay, so how do you think travelling to a lot of different countries changes a person? Now, again, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to answer this question since, well, I've only been to a few countries at the time of this video. I've only been to the countries on this map right here on the screen, the ones that are highlighted in colour. But for those few countries that I have been to, I will say it's changed me as a person in some ways. Particularly my most recent international trip to Borneo, where we were trekking through the jungles, and it made me a much more intrepid and adventurous kind of person to be able to, you know, get that character building and stuff. Just sleeping in little cabins with the mozzie nets and stuff. It was a different experience, and I'm glad I got to do that. But even some of the more simple trips, just staying in hotels and stuff, like in Bali, and earlier I mentioned that I went to Phuket, Thailand when I was younger, and when I was 16 I went on a cruise ship and I went to New Caledonia, an overseas collectivity of France, and Vanuatu, and yeah, it's pretty interesting seeing how the different people live in their different cultures and stuff. How they manage tourism, what the locals are like just living in rural areas, going about their daily routines, and it's amazing just how different it is from how we live in Australia and the UK and the US and New Zealand and all these first world countries. I don't know, just yeah, I've still never been to New Zealand because from what I've heard I don't know, it's pretty similar to Australia. It's, you know, just a typical first world country. Like my mum and sister have been there a couple of times to go skiing, but I'm not really into skiing. I went skiing a few times in Victoria, Australia, and I didn't enjoy it much, and it was too expensive for me to go just for something I'm like meh with, you know? So, especially not going to New Zealand for that, but really the only other thing I can go to New Zealand for that's different from Australia is bungee jumping, and I'm not so good with heights. I think the giant swing at the school camp was exhilarating enough for me, but I enjoyed that, but I probably wouldn't like bungee jumping. But yeah, traveling to foreign countries has been all around fantastic for me. I really feel like I've grown as a person from just trying new things. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, when I was on holiday in Thailand, I actually got lost at a theme park. Somehow I got separated from the family, a la Home Alone 2, and thankfully I didn't get kidnapped by anyone, and eventually I found my family, and I was really happy after that. And God, it was terrifying, but at least I knew after that to stick with the freaking family. And okay, with that all done and said, let's move on to the next question. Would shark cave diving interest you? Well, I've heard about it lots of times, and I've seen it on TV, even if it's just fictionalized with prehistoric sea creatures like Dunkleosteus, but yeah, I was actually offered to go shark diving at SeaWorld on the Gold Coast. Yep, there's a SeaWorld in Australia. Bet you didn't know that. I don't know, I was offered to go shark diving, but didn't really feel like it. I wasn't sure what it would entail. I was a bit scared actually, and I was also offered to go swimming with dolphins because, I mean, dolphins can be mean old bastards as well, but they're not that harmful to humans, so I guess it's safe to go with them. But I didn't really feel like that either. But my sisters did it and they seemed to enjoy it. But oh yeah, the question's about the sharks though. So I think I might do it someday. Just don't know when. I really need to keep a bucket list on this stuff. But then it's just a question of when you do the stuff on the bucket list. Anyway, moving on. Is it easy for you to fall asleep in the car? Not really. Oh, hang on, the camera battery's low.
One change of battery later.
Is it easy for you to fall asleep in the car? Not really, no. I mean, occasionally I do fall asleep in vehicles, but that's only if I'm really tired after a long day of doing stuff. It's not something I do often, but yeah, no, it's not easy for me to fall asleep in the car. Well, that was simple. Next question. What's your Snap? Well, I don't really use Snapchat often, so I don't really see the point of giving my Snapchat ID to random strangers on the internet, and so, yeah, you're not getting an answer for this one. Sorry. Can you call yourself happy? Well, it depends on the situation, really. Sometimes I just have those days where I'm just feeling really lethargic and miserable and don't really feel like doing anything, but I'm pretty content today. I mean, just getting up and recording this video is making me feel bright and chipper, if that's the word I'm looking for. And yeah, I really like interacting with you guys and working off of your questions. That's something, I guess. Oh wait, hang on, is the microphone on? Yeah, it's on. Sorry, I just get paranoid about that because it can be really annoying if you're recording a video and it turns out the microphone wasn't on the whole time. I think I screwed up one of my music cover videos one time doing exactly that. It's like, the one good take I got and it didn't work out. So yeah, it's like in that SpongeBob episode where Patrick left the lens cap on the whole time they were filming the movie. God. So they couldn't even make a silent film if they wanted to. What's your current mobile phone model and do you like it? Well, this is it's a Samsung Galaxy 10, I think. And yeah, it might not look like it because it's got this case with a stand, but this is definitely a Samsung Galaxy 10 probably. And well, before this I would normally just had iPhones. I did have another Samsung Galaxy at one point, but the layout was just a little too different for me to get used to at the time, whereas now the layout is pretty similar to that of the iPhone. Like, I've heard it's more customizable, but I'm not really sure what that entails. Like, is it the fact that you're able to put the apps into different categories? Because you can do that on an iPhone as well, so that there are more settings for the apps. I don't know. I think I'm past that adventurous phase that I was when I was younger, where I first got my new Windows 98 computer. I would basically go into the start menu and explore all the different folders and stuff, but I'm not really like that as an adult now. You know, I just get a new phone and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I like this, I'll just stick with that. But yeah, overall I like the Samsung Galaxy 10. It's a pretty good phone. It's a nice little mini review for you. And it even has this, well, it didn't come with it, but I purchased this adapter that allows me to use an iPhone charger with it, because the Samsung charger is pretty short, so I thought this adapter would come in handy. Especially on the Borneo trip, we only brought 2 chargers and my mum's was longer than mine. It wasn't fair. What YouTube video made you laugh recently? Well, I did mention Doug Walker's review of Beverly Hills Chihuahua earlier, and I mean, not the part about the bushfires. Like, yeah, I did say it made me smile that Doug cares about that and he's raising awareness of the Red Cross charity and stuff. But like the actual review got a few chuckles out of me. I'm actually surprised he didn't bring up the part where, you know, when Chloe's given dog food and then she puts it in the pet sitter's shoe as revenge for, oh, like, I want a human food, like, I'm like not having dog food. You got to be kidding. Like, cause like being a fussy eater myself, I could actually kind of relate to that, but the way she went about it was such a jerk-ass move. But yeah, like the review in general, the parts that he did bring up, like, oh, the Finding Nemo massacre, oh, we're not taking chances this time, cause yeah, that made me laugh, like, just because I wasn't sure how Doug would react to that disclaimer about how if you're going to get a pet dog, you need to get it from a shelter. Yeah, they actually put that disclaimer at the end of the Beverly Hills Chihuahua movie. But Yeah, aside from that, there are some other YouTube videos that made me laugh recently include, there's this channel called Little Miss Know-It-All, where basically some guy records his niece guessing the names of characters from any particular franchise or company, like Disney characters or Star Wars characters, like Sesame Street, Harry Potter, Pokemon, that sort of thing, and some of the guesses, like a lot of the guesses she comes up with are actually pretty funny. Like she thought Bert from Sesame Street was one of the bananas in pajamas, for example. Like, I'm glad I'm not the only one who saw the resemblance as a kid. But aside from that, I've mostly just been listening to Doug Walker's Disney December reviews, and they're not really funny so much as they're just, you know, insightful and informative. Even if he doesn't get everything right a lot of the time, I like hearing his opinions on these movies. Like, I especially like the year when he did the Disney sequels, because while he does hate a good chunk of them, he did find a few that he likes, like 101 Dalmatians 2 and Tarzan 2 and like the Lilo and Stitch spin-off and sequel films, for example. But it's good to know that even the bad ones aren't really the Satan's ballsack that everyone else makes them out to be. And aside from that, I've mostly just been watching Geography Now. Like that show, like while it's largely an educational show, the host Paul Barbado does throw in some puns and some funny little skits here and there just to keep the audience's attention. Anytime I hear a bad pun in like literally anything else, it always makes me think of Geography Now. Just because, man, this charge is not doing so well today for some reason. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question. You have one completely consequence-free day. What do you do? Well, this one's kind of not really one I can answer unless, I wouldn't really know what to do unless I was actually in that situation. But knowing me, I'd probably just do what I usually do. Just sit at home all day, working on my videos and my censored edits and my just chilling, playing games and shit. Working on the pitch Bible for my series that I might pitch someday once I've gained enough experience in the industry. I don't know, I think this person's asking, like, would I break the law? Would I rob people? I think probably the worst thing I would do was maybe steal a bunch of records from cash converters, because some of the records in my collection actually come from cash converters, like the second-hand ones. Like the first ones I ever bought, like the Grease album and Cock of the North and some Mexican brass band thing, they were all second-hand from cash converters. But now I generally get them from the record shop, like brand new, or I purchase them online, so what do you think can make a person's appearance attractive? Well, I think if a girl smiles, she'll look attractive. Now, this isn't me saying that women have to smile all the time. I'm not one of those chauvinistic assholes who think women exist just to look pretty or anything. No, I'm just saying if, genuine smiles and stuff, can make a girl look attractive. If a girl keeps her hair down, doesn't wear much makeup, or, so long as she looks good without makeup. Again, this is sort of my personal preferences and what I think looks good on a woman, but if she just wears something simple like t-shirt and a pair of jeans, that's what I think looks sexy on a woman. It just, it's innocent, but it helps to show off the body, I guess, just without coming across as, too revealing. I'm sure there's probably some girls watching this video checking out my body through what I'm wearing and think I look fucking sexy or whatever, and I bet the people on the Kiwi farms think I look like a chicken nugget or whatever. But yeah, next question. Oh, I'm actually getting through these pretty quickly. I thought I'd go into much more detail and ramble on way too long. I'm already up to question 18 out of a total 28. When was the last time you made reservations at a restaurant? Well, I'm gonna say never, because I'm not normally the one who makes the reservations. It's usually either my parents or my girlfriend, or now my ex-girlfriend, or the other person who I happen to be with at the time. I'm not normally the one who does it. I'm just Like, I'm normally the one who just goes along to these events. I don't really plan them out very often. So yeah, that's about it then for that question. How do you like to celebrate your birthday? Well, yeah, I like to just have it at home with a few friends and family, and maybe 1 or 2 presents, maybe some birthday money so I can buy my own shit. And my most recent birthday, my 23rd, actually occurred during the Borneo trip that I mentioned earlier. Like, I was on an Intrepid tour, like that's literally what the company's called, Intrepid, and it was just me and my mum and I, my teacher in year 5 used to correct students all the time about that one. And yeah, it was just my mum and I and a bunch of people from different places who I'd never met before. Like, there was this British steward guy and these 2 ladies from Australia, these 2 ladies from England, although I think they lived in Greece at one point, and this American lady who lives in China as a teacher. But basically, for my birthday, we just had it at a restaurant, because like this is sort of near the end of the tour when we'd all pretty much gotten to know each other as friends. So, and yeah, we still keep in touch on WhatsApp. Well, they do anyway. I don't really get in the know-how. I don't use WhatsApp very often, but yeah, we were just at a restaurant in Kota Kinabalu, and yeah, it was nice having them, you know, basically gathering one last time before the tour was over, and for my birthday. Shit, I'm gonna be 24 this year. Yeah, the big 2-4. So, actually, I think 25 will probably be a bigger one, but so yeah, maybe we might do something big. Yeah, it could just be something simple like going bowling, or yeah, maybe we could go to Kangaroo Island again, because it will be winter during the middle of the year in Australia, so I doubt the fires will be burning up as much as they are at the moment and have been lately. Or we could go to Cuddly Creek, or we could go to the zoo, or we could go... Yeah, I've been to the museum a few times lately. I'm kind of sick of it now because it's free to enter, which, according to Mr. Enter, those kind of museums usually suck anyway. I mean, I personally think it's a good museum. I'm just sick of seeing the same stuff over and over. And where else is there to go in Adelaide? The Maritime Museum. I haven't been there in a while, and yes, you do have to pay to go there. Literally the only time I went there was with my school, or with my class, and... Okay, so now we're on to question 20. How do you deal with your anger? Well, I generally try to bottle it up, because I know that if I even have the slightest negative reaction around, for example, my youngest sister, like, she just labels me as immature, or you're just being a baby, because you know what teenagers are like. They get prissy about everything. I just try to contain my anger, and I know it's not healthy, I understand that, but usually the most anger I ever get is like typing comments on YouTube, and even then it's usually over some political issue, like I'm not going to mention any of that here because that's really not welcome here, but yeah, let's move on to the next question. Can you dance without music? I mean, I guess you could. There's a game on, I think, the ColecoVision where you do exactly that. I'm not going to try dancing myself because I suck at dancing. Yeah, my mum practices dancing, or at least she used to, without the music. So yeah, next question. Is there one person or more in your life that always makes you smile? Well, my mum for one thing. She's very supportive of me. And yeah, she's always willing to look out for me, do anything for me. She's pretty much always been there for me. She's the one who encouraged me to read at such a young age. Wait, what's that thing flashing on the screen? I think it's saying it's about to stop recording, but whatever, let's just move on to the next question. What is happiness for you? The moments of happiness. Okay, so, well, I just, you know, just spending time with friends and family and my pets and, you know, just sort of generic answers like that. And, yeah, I just watched Hunchback of Notre Dame the other night. And after I recently bought the picture disc and listened to it a few times, I felt like watching the movie again, and I forgot what an awesome movie it was. I managed to put a smile on my face. And yeah, I like getting Nando's. That's I know it's not really good for you, or at least it's better than KFC or a Porto or whatever. But it's that manages to put a smile on my face whenever I get to have that. And whatever. This is just a repeat of that other. Sound like that other question. I'm basically giving the same kind of answer. When was the last time you listened to the radio? Well, I'm guessing this person is saying people don't listen to the radio very often anymore, and it's kind of old-fashioned, but yeah, I still listen to the radio whenever I'm hitching a ride with people, but my sister usually just listens to songs that are on her iPhone through her car speakers, but she does also listen to the radio from time to time, and my mum actually listens to AM radio because, you know, like as you get older you start to appreciate that more, and I actually didn't mind AM radio as a kid either, just because I like hearing them talk about different topics and stuff. Like, I don't know, I guess that's just kind of the person I was growing up. I like listening to facts and info and stuff. I actually once contributed to them. They were talking about the origins of different idioms and figures of speeches and stuff, and I actually made a contribution. I phoned in and I said, oh, what about pulling out all the stops? That originated from pulling out the stops on an organ that controlled the different sets of pipes that blow out. It's sort of like a predecessor to like the different instrument settings on an electronic keyboard or a digital piano. Yeah, like for the longest time I used to think it was a reference to like pulling up somewhere when you're in the car. You're making a stop, you're pulling up, I don't know, nobody ever says you're pulling out a stop, but it's actually in reference to a pipe organ, is what I'm saying, and that's what I phoned into them saying on the radio, and I don't know, yeah, that's pretty much my answer to the question, though admittedly we used to listen to it a lot more when I was a kid, like on the way to school and stuff. Do you remember the first profile pic on here? Now, since this is an Ask FM question, I'm guessing they're referring to my profile pic on, you know, Ask FM, and I think I've always had the same profile pic on there, just the picture of Daria with Squidward's nose and Frollo's hat, which the origin of that picture is actually pretty funny. Like, one time somebody asked me a question they were telling me to post a selfie, and at the time I didn't feel comfortable with revealing my face on Ask FM, so I just cobbled together an image of that pretty much described me. And don't worry, I'm not a racist pyromaniac who lusts after women or anything, but yeah, come to think of it, I'm probably more of a Scrooge than a Frollo. But yeah, I just thought it would be a funny thing to put on there, and I decided to use it as my profile pic on the site. And for the longest time I also used it as my profile pic for my YouTube channel, NUte84, but I did, after a while I didn't think it looked very appealing, so I just replaced it with a picture of, well, a newt. Like the amphibian. It kind of looks like a lizard, but it's an amphibian. But as for my YouTube profile pic, I've actually gone through quite a few changes over the years. Originally my profile pic was, back when my username was Amy Rose Cute, I just had a picture of, well, Amy Rose, the hedgehog, which was actually taken from a particular YouTube video I posted around that time, back when everyone just used Movie Maker on YouTube, and I think a lot of younger people still do. I'm not sure, like, it's a good beginner editing software at least. But then for a while, I don't know, I think when YouTube like changed their layout or whatever, it is still recording, right? Yeah, still recording. Okay, so when YouTube changed their layout, I for some reason didn't have a profile picture in that time. I think they like wiped it clean or whatever. But then later when I changed my username to Antirora Creations, I changed the profile pic to just the letters ARC against a red background, and this wasn't the same profile pic that I use now on YouTube. It was actually written in a serif font, And if you watch Doodletone and Ski Hound's commentary on that shitty commentary I made to Lindy Beige, you'll see that they actually used, well, the old profile pic with the serif font because that's actually what it was at the time. But eventually I did change it because like when I set up my store on Spreadshirt, I wanted to use a cleaner version of the logo, and because the one I used previously was actually done on photo impression and it was originally different colours, but I used the fill tool to change it, and unfortunately it just left a bit of residue, like bits of pixels here and there of the old colours, and it just didn't look good. It didn't look like something you could put on a t-shirt, for example, so I just redesigned the logo, used the, you know, the cartoony looking non-serif font, sans serif, whatever it's called, and that's the one I've been using since. Okay, so the original Amy Rose logo was probably used from like 2008 until maybe 2012-ish. And the old ARC one was from 2015 to 2017, and my current one is from 2017 till present. So yeah, that just about does it for that question. Okay, the next question is, do you like South America? Again, I'm probably not the best person to answer this question because, well, if you saw the map from earlier, then you'll know that I've never been to any of the Americas, let alone South America. So my only perception of what South America is like is from reading all the geography books and media portrayals. That's pretty much it. And also from what I've heard of them on Geography Now, as you'd probably guess by now. Like, he even did a video explaining the differences between the South American countries, in addition to the videos on each individual country. Like, I'm just aware that Venezuela is not a very good country to live in right now because of the inflation crisis and other crazy stuff that's been happening with under the new president or whatever. And a lot of them are fleeing to Colombia, their neighbor. My have the tables turned. I've also heard Brazil is a pretty good country to visit. It's like, yeah, it's probably not very well developed, but they're pretty well off for a quote-unquote developing country. I think you could probably classify them as a second world country, much like Russia and China or Poland or whatever. But I'm just gonna see what the chart says about Brazil. But the chart says, yes, birds are dinosaurs. Okay, so Brazil is technically classified as part of the third world. Holy shit, so is Mexico. I did not even know that. Really? Even South Africa? Like, I know it's in Africa, but... Wait, hang on. South Korea's a third world country? No, that can't be right. Wait a minute, this map says it's a first world country. Yeah, point is there's a lot of conflicting ideas as to what counts as a first or third or second world country, but like some of the maps say China's a second world country, others say it's a third world country, but a lot of them at least consistently state that Brazil is a third world country. But actually, what does it say about Argentina and Chile? Pretty sure they're better off than Brazil, but I could be wrong. And nope, it's all third world for some reason. Again, I'm not sure why. Yeah, so back to the question, I've never been to South America, so I can't really say. I met people who are from South America, like in high school, my Spanish teacher was from Chile, and there was a student in my class who was of Bolivian descent. Oh, and the teacher's husband, I think, is from like Argentina or something. Honestly, I don't really know much about South America aside from, you know, media portrayals and stuff. You are gay. Can't believe they let that by on The Simpsons. Yeah, I know it's the 90s, but it's like... How would that translate to Spanish anyway? Like, I've heard the episode was banned in Australia because... fuck, this has nothing to do with the question, so let's just move on because I clearly got nothing else to add. When did you say, I'm not that person anymore? Well, I have grown as a person throughout my life. I mean, as to be expected of any normal functioning human being. I don't think I've ever had a point in my life where I said, I'm no longer that person. Honestly, the closest I've ever got to that was like just groaning at some of my earlier projects from when I was younger, from when I was a kid, and saying, man, what kind of drugs was I on when I made that? Like if you see my earlier videos where I read some of my old Storybook Weaver stories from when I was a kid. Yeah, you'll hear me saying like, what kind of drugs was I on? And I just realised I've only got 12 minutes left on the SD card. I really need to get one with bigger space. So let's just zip through these last questions real quick. Oh, there's only one left. Cool. I want a new blank. Kind of hard to say really, because I'm pretty satisfied with the technology I have. If anything, my mum is the one who wants a new record player, because, well, I think I stated in the announcement that I had a record player, but it's not currently in this room right now, and that's because I actually have it downstairs right now, because I was listening to music downstairs last night. But my mum wants to get a new record player just so I don't have to keep moving this one in between rooms, like upstairs, downstairs, all that stuff. And that's actually a pretty good point. I'm actually, because this is the last question, I think I'm more confident on elaborating despite the limited space left on my SD card. I'm actually considering getting a proper turntable, because the record player I have now, basically just a slightly better version of the Crosley Cruiser, in that it uses the exact same tone arm, which doesn't have a counterweight, and apparently the tracking force is too high. It also has the same tin-ass speakers as the Crosley, but unlike the Crosley, or at least I'm hoping this isn't, like, I don't know if you can plug any external speakers into the Crosley, but you can into my Musitrend record player, which certainly helps in the long run. And also, unlike the Crosley, you can actually close the lid the whole way when the record is playing. But yeah, it's probably not the best record player I could have chosen. I basically only bought it because it was the cheapest one I could find that actually looked decent. Like, it wasn't like a Crosley, but I definitely should have watched a Vinylize video on the Crosley Cruiser before I chose a record player to buy. But other than that, the only new thing I'm really that interested in at the moment is new records, but you know, I don't want to spoil myself. I don't want to buy a shit ton of them at once. Like, I think I was even pushing it the other day when I went to Salvo's. I really only wanted to get one at first, but I saw all these other ones that I really wanted, and yeah, I'm glad I bought them, but next time I think I'll just go for one at a time. And I could also do some new instruments, but I'm sort of holding off that in the moment just because I don't really get much time to practice my instruments, because my sister, like, her bedroom is right next to mine, and she hates listening to me play the trombone in particular. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and feel free to subscribe to my channel if you like. I do have some videos in the making, and if you want to support my channel or buy my merch, just go to the links in the description, because YouTube doesn't use annotations anymore, and yeah, that's about it. This is ARC the Clarinet Master, and I'm signing off.